All right, so up here looking at section 5, we got some quadratic formula questions. So let's jump in. So you're going to need to know quadratic formula. I'm going to kind of write it down here on the bottom. It's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, so that'll be b, all over 2 times a. But that is something you're going to need to know for your quiz. So make sure you review that. For this first one, let's just go ahead and plug in our info. So just be careful. I'll just write it for this first one, but our a would be -1, our b would be +3, our c would be -21. So let's just go ahead and plug this in. So we would have -3 plus or minus 3 squared minus 4 times -1 times -21 all over 2 times a, or 2 times -1. So let's just clean this up. That'd be -3 on the left side of the top, -2 on the bottom. Let's figure out the square root. So like in your calculator, put what's underneath your square root, or or if you're mental math good, you might be able to do this without a calculator, but just be careful. I would just put it in your quiz just to be safe. That would be what, 9, the double negatives, still going to be negative. So it'd be 9 minus 84 should be -75. Let me just double check my math. 9 minus 84. Yeah, okay. So we're good there. And if you get a negative number underneath your square root, you're going to get imaginary solutions. So for the purpose of this chapter, maybe I'll show you more you can do to kind of simplify them a little bit, but there's not really a whole lot you can do. But just figure out what the square root of 75, what would that be? It would be about, what, 8.66. So it'd be -3.8 plus or minus 8.66i. I would just say leave your answer like that. You might do more with it in future classes, but honestly, most of the time in this class, we just want to know if there's imaginary solutions. We're not really doing a whole lot with them. So I'll model that later on, but for now, we should be good. Let's take a look at another one. So let's just start kind of plugging it in. So we'd have -8 plus or minus 2 times a on the bottom, b squared minus 4 ac. Just clean this up. -8 over 20 plus or minus. Put this in our calculator. What would that be? That would be 64 plus 40, so 104. Double check my math. Yeah, that's obviously that. So what is the square root of 105? It's about what? I'll round it to the nearest hundredth. So what, 10.25? So we have -8 plus or minus 10.25 over 20. And when you get like a real solution, like you don't have an I, or you didn't get a negative square root, you do need to work this out to see what your two answers would be. So you can either split this up, so it's -8 plus 10.25. If you don't need to like write this out and you're just kind of working these out in your calculator and you go to your answers, I'm okay with that. But it might help to write it. So correct if I get right. So -8 minus 10.25 over 20. So just work this out. Just make sure when you put this in your calculator, you type in the numerator at the top, press equals, then divide by the denominator. So like for this first one, it would be -8 plus 10.25. That would be positive 2.5. Divide that by 20 and you'll get your answer. So this first one, it's about 0.1125. And then our next one, do the top, so -8 minus 10.25, that's going to give you negative 18.25. Divide that by 20, you'll get negative 0.9125. Feel free to round those as well. I'm just writing the whole decimal. And that is quadratic formula.